Hello, this is Rebecca, in case you can't see my name at the top, and today I'm doing my presentation on reading aloud, thinking deeply in religious reading by using Harry Potter and the Death Hallows. This probably makes you all very happy. Most people are familiar and love these series and grew up with them. I picked this one for several different reasons, and no, it has nothing to do with how thick it is when it comes with reading deeply. I'm kind of passionate about this reading deeply and reading aloud in my life because I'm actually dyslexic. Not a lot of people know that about me because I am an avid bookworm. And I absolutely love to write, but I have a very difficult time with both. I have a hard time editing my own writing, knowing if I'm spelling things right, and in reading, many times I try to read a book, even just this book, I'm sure there are dozens of words that I had to go in and ask my mother or my next door neighbor when I'm at work reading, and ask them if they can tell me what that word is, or I have to use my phone and look it up and hear it out loud because I'm extremely auditory because I'm dyslexic. So I don't know if any of you have ever listened to the audiobooks for the Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows. Jim Dale is one of my favorite audiobook narrators, not just because he can do amazing voices, but he really gets to learn about each character. If you ever get to study him and his techniques, I would encourage it, because he's very good at getting to know each character, to give him a personality and a reasoning behind what they say. So for me, if it wasn't for him and how well he read these books, I wouldn't be the way I am today. I think I'd have a much harder time being able to love books and to fight to read books, even though it's such a difficult task for me. I mean, reading this book was one of the hardest things I'd ever done. But as a kid, I'd always audiobooked them, and I really, really wanted to learn to actually read them. And so looking back, was probably a stupid decision, but decided my first big book I was going to read instead of audiobook would be this one. Partly because I didn't want to wait for the audiobook to come out, and who could have blamed me, but also because I decided even before I knew how long it would take for me to get a copy into my hands, because I really wanted to have that done. And so that's the main reason I picked this book, is especially when it comes to reading aloud. This one helped me be able to read not aloud and enjoy books that are books. In fact, I do more reading than I do of audiobooks nowadays because of that. And also in reading deeply, there's a lot in this book that I mean, even still and just enjoy the story, but there's a lot especially in this one, and all the Harry Potters really, but dealing with the symbolisms, reading deeply, and what you can learn. You learn so much about dealing with discrimination, which is an issue in our world today a lot, and how they dealing with the Muggle-borns and even magical creatures who they consider lesser than them for most of them, and dealing with that kind of thing. And also her main theme of dealing with the fear of death, and a lot of that is a huge theme in these books. And if you really look for them, you can learn so much from it. And I won't spoil it for those of you who haven't read it or have never really thought about it. I would highly, highly encourage you to go back and do that, because there's so much reading deeply, and even reading religiously. As I was attending BYU-I, Idaho, there's a lot of religious themes, and the end of this book deals with a lot of things you see symbolically going back to, the resurrection, and not just that alone, because that's the really obvious one, but really thinking about why he was able to do that. There's a lot of gospel symbolisms that I'm sure she likely didn't intend, but I have been able to find in actually reading this, and I only found them because instead of audiobooking it, I read it. And so for me, this book is great for really learning to do that, because Harry Potter is popular. It's just a fun book. It's really easy to just read the series and not read deeper, but you love them enough that you would want to go in and reread them for a lot of people. Maybe not everybody, but I know I'm one of them. To go back and be able to do that. And this book really taught me to do that, because, it's huge. And because it was the first thing I'd ever read, and I had such a hard time reading it, I then had to read it again to make sure I got it all. And doing that, there's so much you can actually learn. So for those of you who've only read it once or just seen the book or seen the movie, I really encourage you to come in and read it and find those symbols. I'm not going to give them away to you. I could, but I really don't want to, because I want you to find them, because that's the entire purpose, in my opinion, of reading deeply, is because it builds your testimony of truth, whether it's in the gospel, reading religiously and looking for the symbols of the gospel that are in this book. I know I found them. They are findable if you really want to. But also in just reading deeply and learning about human nature, how we respond to, the fear of death, which is a big one, or how we deal with discrimination, or even just dealing with loss and having our world change. Harry's become an adult. He's of age now. And dealing with losing the trust he had in his biggest mentor in Dumbledore is a huge theme as well. And there's just so much we can see and learn, and things that J.K. Rowling probably intended a lot of them, but a lot of them I think weren't even intentional, and there's so many in here. But again, I don't want to give them away to you. I want to challenge you to read them deeply. And seriously, if you start reading it and comment what they are, I will seriously respond back. Even if the semester is over, I will make a mark just to challenge you, because I have such a strong, maybe it sounds weird, but literally a testimony of reading deeply is one of the best things we can do to help us just to become better, not just, again, in a gospel sense, which is important too, but in anything. I believe any book You know, the nonfiction ones are really easy to do that with, but fiction I feel like sometimes has the most amount of truths and things we can learn, and we miss them because we don't read deeply. But I appreciate your time listening to my little rant. This, again, is something I'm really passionate about. But I hope I was able to help you learn something or to feel a little bit of the passion I have behind this. I appreciate you watching this, and again, I really hope this had some effect on you. Thank you for your time.